Hello, everyone. We are ready to get started. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are located, for a demo of the NovoEd digital learning platform. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come and join us. For anyone who is unfamiliar with GoToWebinar, please note that you are all on mute. You can use your control panel as shown in the screenshot here to submit any questions during the length of this webinar. I do want to mention that we will be stopping throughout the webinar to address any questions that we receive, so we encourage you to ask away. At the end of this webinar, an exit survey will pop up, and we would appreciate if you could take a few moments to fill out the survey and provide us with some feedback so that we can continue to improve our webinars. Lastly, I do want to mention this webinar is being recorded, so if you want to rewatch it or share it with someone who is unable to attend, you will receive the recording from us via email tomorrow morning, so please keep an eye out for that in your inbox tomorrow. Before we dive into the content of today's product demo, I want to take a moment to introduce myself as well as my colleague Juan. So my name is Jessica, and I am the marketing manager here at NovoEd, and I'm very excited to be here with you all today. I'm joined by our solutions consultant, Juan Moran.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everyone, for being here. We're very excited to be here with you. And just a quick look at the agenda. We'll start with an overview of NovoEd and share some context as to who we are, what we do, and our role within the learning tech ecosystem before diving into a demo of our online digital learning platform. So to provide you with some background on NovoEd, we were started at the Social Algorithms Lab at Stanford University and founded by a Stanford professor and his PhD student who is actually currently our CTO. The platform was created on the principles of social collaboration and peer-to-peer learning. Our award-winning digital learning platform powers real learning for the skills that matter most to modern learners. The platform enables the creation, curation, and delivery of engaging learning experiences that build high-value skills, enable business transformation, and improve organizational performance. To date, we have helped over 1 million adult learners develop their skills through practice and feedback, coaching and mentorship, and team-based projects, which are actually a few of the things that Juan will be walking us through today. Before we dive deeper into what NovoEd is, what we do, I'm going to pause right here to launch a quick poll, and we would love to hear from you all. So you should see a poll pop up on your screen asking you what priorities you and your team are working towards. We'll give you all a couple of moments to provide a quick response, and keep in mind you can select multiple answers that resonate best with you before I close the poll and then share everyone's responses with the rest of the team. Thank you, everyone who has voted so far. I'll leave it open for about 15 more seconds. If you have yet to vote, please add your answers, and I will recap it shortly. Great. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, and I'll share these results with you for anyone that's interested. So the question is, what priorities are you and your team working towards? I think this is very in line with the other responses that we've seen on other product demos we've done. So a large majority of you are looking for, or rather have the need for development initiatives that create sustained value and want to cost effectively scale training, especially if you have a global workforce. We understand that deploying training and learning to a global workforce can be difficult, especially if you're doing it in person. So scaling it is a high priority for many people here. Followed by that, there's increased intensity, upskill, reskill, and retain employees. And lastly, digital transformation is prompting a repositioning of the work. If you happen to include other, we would love to hear what response we might have missed here. So feel free to use the chat box to let us know, and we can make sure to tailor this webinar to all of these results. Let's go ahead and move on. Our platform is designed for the modern learner, so we have a very streamlined, modern, and engaging UX. What really differentiates the NovoEd learning platform are three key things. So one is the high impact learning experience. NovoEd creates a rich, interactive community to arise during the learning experience, much like what would occur when people get together in a room for training through integrated instruction, reflection, application, practice, and projects. Second are the connections and networking opportunities on the platform. So peer-to-peer learning teams, groups, and cohorts, as well as social discovery and networking enable an organic community to develop around the learning topic that really engages curiosity and drives social learning. Lastly, learning at scale. So with our enterprise-ready platform, you can meet your learners where they're at with an engaging mobile learning strategy. And I know a majority of you mentioned the need to cost-effectively scale, so I think this will really speak with you there. So to sum it up, NovoEd allows you to create rich learning experiences online, making it efficient to scale important training across your organization. NovoEd courses are also very easy to build using your own or third-party content that you can launch rapidly and adjust as you go, as Juan will show in a couple of moments here. So to place NovoEd in the context of the learning text ecosystem that I mentioned earlier, I do want to say that we don't replace the LMS, but we can integrate it. The traditional LMS was created to track training, not necessarily to provide a great online learning experience. This is why much of e-learning today provides just basic consumption of information with a small amount of interaction, if any. The NovoEd provides a true online learning experience for rich interaction and application. So with that said, I'm going to turn it around to Juan, who will actually walk you through NovoEd's digital learning platform. We will be stopping a couple of times for questions, so if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to use the control panel to submit them, and we will be sure to answer them. So 1 second while we change presenters here.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much for all of that, Jessica. And again, thank you to everyone here for joining us today. We're going to be providing you an overview of the NovoEd platform from a few different perspectives. So I'd like to show you what it's like to engage with NovoEd and its learning journeys as a learner, as well as a mentor or coach, and also as an admin. And you'll be able to see things like analytics and exactly how would you build a course and make adjustments to it. So let's start off with the learner experience. Right now, I'm logged in as a learner named Leah Tan. And Leah is a newly promoted manager working at a large company with a distributed workforce. So she's going to be leading a new virtual team, and she's part of a NovoEd learning journey that's going to help her upskill and learn how to be a better leader for her new virtual team that's spread out around the globe. So she's already logged in to the NovoEd platform here. And you heard Jessica talk about how we can integrate with LMSs. So we do offer the NovoEd platform as a standalone solution. You could just log right in. You could also have it integrated with your LMS or other system of record and be able to launch a NovoEd course from an LMS and also be able to have NovoEd in your other system be able to talk to each other. So we could do things like set up registrations, check progress, and also track completion and make sure you have access to all that data in your system of record. Now, when you come into the NovoEd platform as a learner, the very first thing that you see is a learning dashboard. And this is like your home base for the entire NovoEd experience. You'll be able to see all the learning journeys or courses that you're enrolled in. Any ones that you've already completed can also be accessed from here. That would include access to certificates of completion or badges that you may want to offer to your learners. We're also always tracking interaction. So one of the things that Leah loves about the platform is it always remembers wherever she left off, whenever she was in a learning journey, and she can quickly just pick up, and it just keeps things very convenient for her. Now, over here in the left side of the screen, Leah also has access to a wide variety of different communications. Now, that could include announcements, and announcements can be delivered on a schedule or ad hoc. We also support automated notifications for learners and others like Leah. So anytime someone's interacting with the NovoEd platform within a learning journey, maybe for example, like in Leah's case here, she had an admin or a course facilitator, in this case named Denise, add her to a team. So Leah's going to be working on a project with her peers as part of one of her learning journeys. She also received an invitation to a meeting from one of her teammates. So these are actionable notifications. You'll notice that I can click on any of them and they'll take me to wherever the action happens. So that could include someone asking me a question in a discussion as a learner, and you can easily just go to where that question was asked, answer it, and close the loop. Now, we also support messaging. One-on-one could be between learners, coordinating, or simply just networking and building relationships. It's one thing learners like Leah loves, that she can meet peers and be able to do things like share best practices. Now, these messages are available right here in the platform, but they can also be delivered to email. I know one of the things that Leah appreciates are some of the reminders that get her back into her NovoEd learning journey. So she's noticed she gets reminders about things like, hey, we haven't seen you for a while. Love to see you back in the team working on your project, or hey, here's just a friendly reminder about an assignment that's due really soon, and we know you haven't completed it yet. So you can send targeted emails and messages right here from the NovoEd platform to your learners and keep them on task. Now, we also have access to shortcuts to all courses or learning journeys from here. We're just making things very easy to access and accessible for learners like Leah. And that includes being able to get right into any teams or groups that are being offered in her learning journeys too. She's noticed that she gets access to both teams and groups because the teams are being used for things like project work that may be scored and count towards course completion, but she also has access to groups that support affinities. For example, you may just want to have people in the same region be able to be part of a group, or maybe they're working in the same vertical in their corporation, or maybe they have the same career goal. Maybe they're participating in an executive education program on the NovoEd platform, for example. Now, getting into any one of these learning journeys is really simple. She could just do that right from her dashboard. And from the course homepage for this particular learning journey, which focuses on leadership development, Leah is able to get a wide variety of updates too. Now, that includes updates about her progress and her community. So you'll notice here on the right side of the screen, there's a social community panel where Leah can see who's been active, and she can interact with her peers as well. For instance, everyone has a profile within the NovoEd learning journey, and there are even integrations with Facebook and LinkedIn to make it really easy to pull in your information. Now, admins also have the opportunity to set up any information or even profile questions that learners have to complete to tell the rest of the cohort a little bit more about themselves and just help build community that way, and we make it really easy to do that. Now, it's also easy to stay up to date on other things like what's trending in my learning journey. That could be a discussion that's gaining a lot of comments or likes, upvotes. Also, things to explore, and these are the affinity groups that I mentioned earlier from Leah's dashboard. Because we're focusing on leadership, there are things that Leah can take advantage of to be able to collaborate even more with her peers in her cohort, and they could discuss a wide variety of different topics in groups like multicultural leadership, women leaders, leading with chocolate. And she loves that there are actual dedicated spaces where they can meet. You'll see that in a moment from Leah's perspective. Now, Leah also gets updates about her progression within the learning journey. And this is configurable. She's taken other learning journeys where she didn't even see a progress bar, and others where she saw as many as 3 different progress bars. So in this particular learning journey, we have points enabled. So she actually gets a lot of fun out of the gamification that's included as part of this particular learning journey. She can easily, for example, access a leaderboard where she could see where she places amongst her peers. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from customers that friendly competition, it's healthy, and it keeps the learners motivated to complete their learning journeys. Now, there's also easy access to a list of to-dos. So learners like Leah can always know where they're at in their learning journey, be able to confirm what's completed, how many points they got for it, but also be able to very easily see what's left to do. So in this case, for Leah, she has to do things like complete assignments and tests, but she also has some other activities that she has to participate in order to complete the course, and that includes watching a video, as well as participating in a discussion, and even completing an end of journey survey where she could provide the facilitator some feedback on what her experience was like. Now, the journey's easy to access to. You'll notice here that Leah has access to a couple different modules. So this could be module 1 for week 1, for example, module 2 for week 2, for instance. And there's a lot of flexibility for how you interact with the modules and lessons within the learning journey too. So if Leah gets into the beginning of her journey, she'll notice, for example, on the left side here, there is a program outline that she can access. And she's noticed in some of her learning journeys, it's really flexible to be able to jump around and pick activities that she'd like to do, and she chooses to order by preference. But in others, the learning journey is more sequential, and content and activities are being released by a specific date or time, or they're being released by prerequisites. So sometimes, for example, she has to complete assignment 1 before she's allowed to even access assignment 2. That's really a follow-up and builds on the first assignment. Now, in this particular lesson on remote meeting basics, Leah is able to access a lot of different engaging content. So within the NovoEd platform, we support documents as well as slide presentations. We're SCORM compliant, and we do provide you a SCORM cloud player within our platform. We support also podcasts and even videos too. So here's a video that Leah is going to be watching, and it's even more engaging than you can imagine, because embedded within this particular video, there is a quiz. So the video automatically pauses and asks Leah a question. Now, this could be a survey question as well. And maybe you just want to have learners like Leah let you know where they're at in their learning. What do they already know about the topic, for example, coming into the learning journey? This could be a quiz as well, as I mentioned, and even award points for successfully answering those quiz questions. Now, everything you provide to your learners in terms of content and activities are viewable inline within the NovoEd learning journey. So very easy to access. You'll notice, for example, following that video, Leah's being asked to participate in a discussion. So she can do that. She could see what others have contributed, as well as, of course, contribute to the conversation as well. So this particular conversation focuses on similarities and differences between working from home and working within an office. And so she just wants to clarify from her perspective, let's remember that work-life balance is important for both, regardless of where you work. And as soon as she submits that comment, she gets awarded 10 points and even gets a confirmation about it. Now, she could dig deeper. She could see not just what her peers have submitted in the discussion, but she can reply to those comments. She can like them. She can also, like we saw a little bit earlier from Leah's profile, see a little bit more information about her peers in a cohort. Maybe she really likes what Darren said in the discussion, and she just wants to learn a little bit more about Darren. So she can see, for example, that he's a former analyst, just like Leah. So they're already starting to build a relationship here. She can message him, even invite him to be part of her team and work on a project that they all have to do as part of the learning journey. Now, I've talked a lot about Leah participating in a learning journey as part of a cohort, but we do have customers that set up learning journeys to be self-paced. And there's a lot of automation you can take advantage of to do that. So, for example, Leah appreciates that when she takes a quiz, she can automatically get her score and clarification on what answer she got right and what answer she got wrong. And there's even automated feedback with explanations to make sure Leah really understands why the right answers are right and the wrong answers are wrong here. So something a lot of our customers facilitating self-paced courses really appreciate, that instant automated feedback's available. Now, the very next thing that Leah's doing in her learning journey is completed an individual assignment or challenge. So this is an opportunity for her to actually practice and apply what she's learning as part of the learning journey. And she's able to do things like access a rubric. So we could set very clear expectations with our learners about what we want them to accomplish in an assignment. And in this particular assignment, as I mentioned, it's an individual challenge. And in this case, she has to record a video of herself practicing leading a meeting. We've seen customers use that approach for practicing things like doing a sales pitch, if you're using the NovoEd platform for sales enablement, for instance, or practicing managing a call, as part of a call center. We support a wide variety of different video types like MP4s, MOVs, AVIs, and Leah can use her favorite video recording software, just upload her video here. But there's another way to do this too. For example, Leah maybe stepped away from her desk and her computer and went off to a conference room for a meeting. And maybe she's a little early, so she wants to see if she can make some more progress on her learning journey. One of the things that she can access is a mobile app that we provide for the NovoEd platform. This is a big differentiator for us in the market. So other vendors in the market, they tend to have a mobile responsive solution, just like we do. But it's rare to be able to see a native mobile app also available. So the NovoEd app, it's available today for your Apple devices, and it's going to be available for your Android devices later this month. So we're really excited about that launch. Now, just like in a desktop or a mobile browser, when Leah goes into her learning journey, she can pick up wherever she left off. So you'll notice here that the mobile app knows she last left off on that individual challenge where she can record her practice video. And since she's using a device that has a camera and a microphone available, she can take advantage of those features and be able to record her video. She can retake it if she's not happy with it, or go ahead and submit it. And depending on how the course facilitator set this up, it could automatically award her points or put it through an approval process where someone has to actually look at that video and decide whether she met the requirement and then give her the points. Part two of this particular assignment, now that Leah has done her video, is to access a gallery of other submissions from her peers. So the part two is basically to review at least 3 other videos from her peers within the cohort. So Leah can easily access the submissions from her peers, be able to review their work, and very easily contribute to the feedback that's already here. She can even respond to, to the feedback that she's seen, not just from her peers, but even from people serving as mentors or coaches. You'll notice Mark here made a comment, and he's got an M badge on his photo. That's identifying that he's a mentor, and we're providing expert feedback in addition to the peer feedback that's being provided as part of this assignment. Now, there's a lot of flexibility for how we engage our learners. So Leah's not just participating in individual challenges, she's also taking part in team challenges. And I've already alluded to her being part of a team. She got an invitation, for example, to a meeting from one of her teammates to start working on their project. And in this particular assignment, Leah's working with a team on a team charter. And teams are flexible too. For instance, you can set up the teams in advance and organize your learners yourselves as a facilitator. You could also enable your learners to form their own teams as well. The great thing about teams as well as groups is they have a dedicated workspace. It's a safe place where they can have conversations, feel free to practice, even fail, and get some open and honest feedback. Only the members of the team are going to have access to this particular workspace, but a team could include a facilitator or a mentor. There's the opportunity to collaborate here and do it synchronously or asynchronously. So like Jessica alluded to earlier, a lot of our customers love that we emulate the kind of experience of being part of like a workshop where you can break out into smaller teams and sit around a table and collaborate. And that's what this workspace enables your learners to be able to do. They can do things like share documents. Here's the team charter templates that they're going to be completing as part of this team assignment. They can also meet synchronously in addition to asynchronously. So they could do things like send out meeting invitations, provide a link to a virtual meeting tool like WebEx or GoToMeeting. The NovoEd platform even has a Zoom integration. We enable you to be able to do things like send out RSVP invitations where the teammates can confirm whether they can attend or not. And then they're going to get reminders about those meetings and, of course, easy access to the meeting link to join. Now, there's also the ability to not just upload a document from your computer, but also take advantage of our Google Drive integration, as well as share any work that you've already completed as a learner. So we make it really easy for peers to be able to work in a small team, collaborate, and stay on task. As you notice, we can easily see the action items for this particular team to meet and finish working on that team charter. So a lot of support for peer-to-peer learning and collaboration, as well as even working with a mentor to help guide you. But before we do that, let's pause and take any questions you may have about the learner experience.
Thank you, Juan, for walking us through this in-depth learner experience for Leah. We have had a few questions come up. The first one is, can you talk a little bit more about the difference between teams and groups and how they are used?
Yeah, so the functionality is pretty much the same. Now, teams or groups can be set up by a facilitator, or you can enable your learners to form their own teams and groups. They both get a dedicated space where they can collaborate, but teams could be utilized particularly for group work like assignments, and groups are really best utilized for affinity groups, and also just general team building and relationship building too.
Okay, and then Michael has a follow-up question on teams specifically. So we've all been in teams where there's probably a leader. Some people might be more engaged than others. So how do you prevent, or how have you seen some customers prevent common teamwork issues, such as someone doing all the work or others not necessarily participating as much?
Sure. Great question. One of our customers is Comcast, and one of the things they do is a mid-course survey where they can ask people questions like, hey, how's it going with your team so far? And they like doing it in the middle of the learning journey so they can make adjustments very quickly while that journey is still active based on the feedback they're getting.
Okay. And then one last question here. You mentioned earlier that when learners submit their assignments, they can go through a review process before giving points or allocating points. Who typically reviews these assignments?
Oh, yeah, it could be a variety of different people. So within our corporate learning customer base, it tends to be either a mentor or possibly a facilitator who's like a subject matter expert, potentially. Amongst our executive education customers, it tends to be the instructor or teaching assistant at the institution. And then amongst our training firm customers, it could be a wide variety of people. Often coaches are the ones that are assigned to fulfill that role.
Okay. Awesome. That's all the questions that I am seeing. So actually, more questions are coming in. Sorry about that. We have one other
engagement.
Yeah, so do I. We do have a question about from someone about the mentor experience. However, I'll hold off on that, Diego specifically, and we'll get back to that because we are going to show the mentor experience next. But from Martha, are we able to have the same course offered to separate groups or different companies?
Absolutely. We've made it really easy to make copies of your courses.
Amazing. That is all I'm seeing for now. Let's go ahead and move on to the mentor experience, and then we'll stop again afterward to address any questions that come up.
Yeah, and thanks, Diego, for the segue to the mentor experience. So Leah has a mentor. It's often a coach or a facilitator or even a manager who's mentoring direct reports. So in this case, because this is a learning journey that Leah is participating in at work, it is her manager who's serving in the mentor role, and that's Mark. And Mark, of course, has a login to the NovoEd learning platform. He's actually already logged in and accessing that same learning journey we've been looking at from Leah's experience. And he has access to the full journey, as well as access to a mentor dashboard. Now, please know that you can use your own terminology for things like learners and mentors. You could call them students and coaches if you want to. Same thing with even activities. So you'll notice earlier I had an assignment called a challenge. So you can absolutely use your own nomenclature. Now, Mark has access to his mentor dashboard where he can very easily see his list of direct reports, who needs approval on work that they've submitted, like an assignment, and even engagement levels, like who's logged in and who hasn't logged in, for example. Now here, he can access the same progress bars learners access to be able to track the learner's progression through the learning journey. So he can get on the same page very easily with his learners and be able to communicate with them and maybe send them a little nudge over a message if they're not making much progression within the journey. Now, he can also provide feedback. Now, you've seen that in an informal context already. In fact, here's some feedback Mark already provided this learner, Jerry, on his video. But we can make that even a more formal process. For example, you can evaluate your learner's work using a rubric. So this is something that not only can be made available to mentors or facilitators or instructors, but you can even make this available to peers to do a more formal feedback evaluation. And we can even anonymize this experience too, to make sure we're encouraging direct, honest feedback. So we've made it really easy to evaluate work with a rubric. This is a configurable rubric where you can set up specific criteria and of course even provide access, as you saw earlier, to your learners to the rubric so they know exactly how they're being evaluated. And complete your feedback, submit that, and that could be set up to be made available to only the learner to see, or it could be set up to be shared if you want to set this up as a more informal process. Now, there's also, as someone was asking earlier, the ability to go through an approval process for an assignment. So here's Leah's video where she practiced leading a meeting just a few moments ago. Now, Mark, her manager, can provide her feedback here and say things like, I don't know, more details, please. And if it's feedback that he thinks everyone should see, maybe he noticed, for example, that there's a trend that everyone's misinterpreting the instructions for the assignment. So he can clarify that here. If it's great work that the learner submitted, he can highlight and showcase that here as well, or just keep it private between the learner and himself. Here is where he can either approve and grant those points for completing the assignment successfully, or he could send this back to Leah and ask her to revise and resubmit for another review. So this is really the beginning of not just being able to track learners' progress, provide guidance and feedback, but even access analytics, which we're going to do in a deeper dive in a moment. But before we do that, any questions about the mentor's experience?
I'm only seeing one question right now, and that is, how many learners can a coach or mentor oversee?
As many as you like, and you can have as many mentors within one learning journey or course too. So you could break down that cohort into smaller groups where they're each working with a different mentor. Okay.
I don't see any other questions about the mentor experience yet. Oh, actually, spoke too soon. All right, first question, or rather next question is from Michael, and it is there any way for a mentor and learners, or just learners, to work together while answering questions?
Oh, absolutely. Mentors could be part of any team or group within the learning journey. And we also support very flexible roles. So someone can be in the mentor role as well as like a course facilitator or even a course builder role. So there are a lot of opportunities to get involved in multiple ways and keep your learners engaged.
Amazing. That is all I'm seeing for now. Let's go ahead and move into the admin experience. And again, if you have questions about a previous experience, feel free. We will stop again for questions shortly.
Yeah, so the admin for this learning journey is Denise. She's the learning experience designer and facilitator for this particular journey that Leah's been involved in. And because she's set up as an admin, She has access to a lot of different tools to be able to do things like make edits to the learning journey, send out announcements, send out email blasts to specific learners to keep them progressing through the journey as well, and even access reports. So we do provide out-of-the-box analytics. And Denise is actually also facilitating another course that's already completed. So let's take a look at those analytics so we can look at some more metrics. Now, as I mentioned, this is all out of the box. You automatically get all these great reports where you could easily get a bird's eye view on how many learners you have in your learning journey, how many have completed. But you can also drill down into specific performance and engagement data within your reports too. So very easy to be able to see for an assignment who's completed it, whether that's an individual or a team. You can drill down into any of these assignments or other content or activities as well. So we could see additional metrics like who's read instructions for an assignment but hasn't submitted, for example. Maybe we want to communicate just with those people and give them a nudge. There's also, as I mentioned, the ability to see engagement in addition to performance information. So here we're looking at the engagement of our learners in discussions week by week. So you may notice things like a spike when people were really engaged. And because you have that insight, you could dig a little deeper to see what were we doing during week 2 that was so great. Was it the content, the facilitation? We provide you the data so you can find out. And the metrics and analytics, they're not just limited to activities. They are also available for content. So you'll notice, for example, we have reporting for videos. I mentioned earlier when Leah was watching a video that we provide tracking. So one of the things you can do is automatically grant points or mark off the to-do if a learner has watched a certain amount of the video. Maybe you want to set a rule that has to be watched at least 80% of the way. Here's where you're going to be able to access a report where you can easily see who's watched that video, who hasn't, even access additional information like what was the average amount of the video people watched. You even get to dig a little bit deeper to see how many people dropped off, during different parts of that video. So this particular video did a great job. 95% of the video is what people watch for the most part. But if we saw people dropping off really early, we can investigate that too. Maybe the video is too long. Maybe it's not engaging. I know a lot of our customers love that you can break down videos into smaller chunks and set them up in a playlist. Now, I've talked a lot about accessing out-of-the-box reports, but people like Denise who are managing the course, they can also create their own reports. So we do give you the ability to get some custom reporting. We call them data downloads. They can be created and saved and used again and again if you want to be able to track things like course completion, activity by coach or other role. And just like setting up a course, which you'll see in a second, setting up a report is super easy. A big differentiator about our reporting is you get to report not just on learners, but also on your mentors, the teaching team. Maybe you want to see how involved are they in terms of facilitating and providing feedback. Same with teams and groups. We can report on them and see how engaged those individuals are. Now, you can get access to all your performance and engagement data within these reports. So if you want to look at points for assignments versus feedback and how helpful people found that, you can certainly look at that. Just give your new report a name and you can process it anytime you like. We provide you a CSV file that you can easily look at in a spreadsheet tool like Excel, or you can even drop that file into your reporting tool like Tableau, for instance. Now, a lot of our customers love that they can take their analytics and make very educated decisions about how to adjust the learning experience. So Denise might have noticed that people had a hard time understanding a particular concept within their learning journey. So she can come back into the learning journey and make adjustments. Now, she might be doing this for the next cohort, or she can make an adjustment while the journey is live as well. So one of the things she could do when she comes here is be able to make adjustments within the learning journey. She can go into edit mode and access the authoring tools that we also provide out of the box. So if she's noticed, for example, people an explanation, she can click on an add link and be able to access a menu of all the different course components in here that you can make part of the learning journey. And that includes things like rich text, templates that we've provided as well, just to streamline the process for you creating some really nice looking, engaging content. There's also the ability to set up things like your videos, as we saw earlier, any challenges. Those challenges can also be supplemented with quizzes and even timed exams or surveys. And in addition, a lot of different opportunities to be able to participate socially in things like discussions, peer review via the submission carousel we saw earlier, and providing feedback as peers or mentors and make that available privately or publicly as well. We also support a lot of different content. You've seen that already, like videos. Now that could be an embedded video that you uploaded. It can also be an embedded video that's linked to a tool like LinkedIn Learning or Harvard Managed Mentor. We're SCORM compliant, and you can embed really any external content and make all that, again, available in line within the learning journey. So learning experience designers like Denise love how easy it is to be able to create content. It's really as simple as point and click, drag and drop. If you want to be able to introduce a new section, for example, and upload a video, provide a new title for your new section here. Maybe this is going to be Module 3, and then make edits to it. And you don't need to know things like HTML. Or anything complicated like that. Again, it's just really simple to adjust your content, even colors, placement of it, and then immediately add it into your learning journey. Any questions about the admin experience, like Denise?
Thank you, Juan, for walking us through reporting, as well as how to author some content on our platform. Do you have any questions about the overall platform? It can be about the admin experience, mentor, or the learning experience, whatever it may be. Please send it our way, as we will be addressing questions now. The first question that I am seeing here is, are you able to release content within the course at different dates?
Oh, great question. Yes, you can release it by specific date as well as time.
Okay. And can this platform be white labeled or custom branded?
Oh, yeah. You can brand at the journey or course level with your logo and branding colors.
Okay. Is there a max amount of people that a course can accommodate at any one time?
No, it's actually unlimited.
Okay. And then back to the mentor experience, will mentors or coaches, whatever you prefer to call them, will they receive notifications when feedback is required of them from an assignment?
Yes, if it's an approval that's required for an assignment, they'll immediately get a notification, but they also get a daily digest email with any actions they need to take.
Okay, very helpful. I don't see any other questions that are coming in at this time. However, if there is something on your mind, please share it with us. We would love to take a moment here to answer any remaining questions. But if not, we greatly appreciate you joining this product tour today. If you have questions later on, feel free to contact us using our email address or our phone number. If you do want to learn more about NovoEd, please let us know by typing yes into the questions panel. And we will reach out afterward. I do want to mention that we are hosting an exclusive Josh Burson webinar, Why Skills-Based Learning is Not Enough, Building Capabilities for the Future of Work, next month on January 16th. So during this conversation with Josh Burson, he will discuss how high-impact corporate learning has changed, and we'll share how companies can move beyond skills-based training to build real business capabilities core to organizational success. We really hope that you can join us for this upcoming event. And lastly, thank you again for attending today. We would greatly appreciate if you could fill out the exit survey to provide us with any feedback. Thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.